Hey guys, it's Delaney back with another video. Today, this video is a little bit past due because we are already a little over a week into 2024, but I am going to be talking about every book I read in 2023, giving you guys kind of my rating, my thoughts on them. 2023 is the year that I really got into reading. I know my past couple videos have been book videos. I read 24 books in 2023, and that was actually my reading goal for the year because I was just getting into reading. I was like 2 books a month seems doable. I started off my 2023 reads with I feel like book talk classic beach read by Emily Henry. I had been kind of getting random book talk videos about Miss Emily Henry. I rated Beach Read a 5 out of 5. In fact, I think every Emily Henry book I've ever read has been a 5 out of 5. Continuing on, I stuck with Emily Henry and I read Book Lovers, another 5 out of 5. I'm pretty sure in my brain Emily Henry can do no wrong. I just eat up any character that Emily Henry writes. I then read As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. That is the 3rd book in the Good Girls Guide to Murder series. I had read the other 2, obviously 2022, the year prior. I rated As Good as Dead a 3 out of 5. It was really good. I still recommend the series to everyone. The first book is a 5 out of 5 for me. I just felt that it was a little dragged out. It's one of those series that you can read the first one and you don't need to read the second 2 for the first one to make sense. Like the first one wraps up and you don't have to continue, but I did, and the second 2 just didn't hit as hard for me as the first one. Next, I started up my fantasy journey. I had never read a fantasy book before. I don't know. I just did not picture myself being a fantasy girly. I was like, nope, that's too much brain power. I cannot. But the book talk really convinced me that I needed to read ACOTAR. If you don't know what that is, it's A Court of Thorns and Roses. It's a 5-book series by Sarah J. Maas. ACOTAR was a 4 out of 5 for me. Almost top tier. And at first when I read it, I rated it a 5 out of 5. But then after reading the 2nd and 3rd book, I bumped it back to a 4 out of 5 just because those other books like transcended. This next book I'm going to talk about has left an impact on my life. And I can confidently say that the author of this next book is probably my favorite author of all time. And that is Miss L. Kennedy. I didn't realize how much of a chokehold a hockey romance would have on my life until I read The Deal and I read about Garrett Graham. And I have no words to explain how I feel about Garrett Graham, knowing he's not a real person, but this is one of those books that I would sell my soul to read again for the first time. It's just so good. The way that L. Kennedy crafted up Garrett Graham is something I will never understand. Yeah, 5 out of 5 for me. And this jump-started my love for L. Kennedy and my love for hockey romances. Next, I was so in love with Garrett Graham that I continued on the off-campus series with The Mistake, which follows, obviously, another hockey player from... The off-campus series. That's what we're talking about. This book is about John Logan. It was really good. Still one of my favorite series. I gave it a 4 out of 5. It just didn't hit the same as Garrett Graham. Next, I went back to the ACOTAR series. I had 2 little palette cleansers from fantasy. I was still a little wary that I wasn't a fantasy girly, and honestly, A Court of Mist and Fury, which clearly is the next book, scared me a lot because it is thick, and at the time it was the biggest book that I had ever read, and so it freaked me out a little bit. But I gave it a 5 out of 5. And this is after reading A Court of Mist and Fury is when I decided to take A Court of, what's it called? Oh my god, A Court of Thorns and Roses. Jesus, it's literally on my list. After reading A Court of Mist and Fury is when I realized that the first ACOTAR book was only a 4 out of 5. It's gonna be hard for anyone to ever live up to the love that I feel for Feyre and Rhysand. 5 out of 5. The next book is Court of Wings and Ruin, which is also the next book I read in 2023. Another 5 out of 5. Again, I would sell my soul to read that book again for the first time. Next, we have The Score, which is the third book in the Off-Campus series, continuing on with Miss L. Kennedy. So we're back to L. Kennedy with The Score. I rated that a 4 out of 5. Again, one of my favorite book series, just didn't transcend the way that Garrett Graham did. Next, I read A Court of Frost and Starlight, which is the little novella within the ACOTAR series. I gave that a 3 out of 5. It was good. There wasn't a lot of like plot line to it. It was kind of just like little cutesy snippets of different like points of view. It was good. It didn't really move along the story in any type of way. But yeah, it was, it just was mid-tier for me. Next, I went to The Goal, which again is the Off-Campus series. This is Tucker's book, and I feel like I've heard a lot of people say that this is not their favorite, but I gave it a 5 out of 5. I think Tucker is my second favorite Off-Campus boy. I just loved him and Sabrina, and I know a lot of people don't like the pregnancy trope, but I didn't mind it. I loved seeing, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. Next, I read The Legacy, which is the 5th book in the Off-Campus series and kind of the wrap-up, if you will, of the books. It kind of gives you a point of view a few years later after all the couples have been together for a while. I gave it a 3 out of 5. Again, it was good. I loved seeing all the couples still together. I loved seeing how they were doing as adults after college, but I wasn't having like visceral reactions to it. Next, I read some more Emily Henry. I read her new release for this year, Happy Place. This is, obviously it was summertime, and you can tell that from my next few books because they're all very summery, beachy romances, and that is just what I'm always in the mood for to read when it's warm outside. Another 5 out of 5 from Emily Henry. I think it might be my favorite Emily Henry book. The way I just felt so connected to the characters. I loved how realistic it felt. Like, it felt like real people living through real problems. I hate when you're reading a book and the problems they're having aren't realistic. They don't feel like something that could actually happen, but this did. And I really resonated with it a lot. Next, I read Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. We finally picked up a new author, guys. It's not one of the 3 that I've been reading through half the books already. I gave this a 5 out of 5, but I do think about it a lot, and I think about the characters a lot. Next, I read The American Roommate Experience by Elena Armas. Is that who wrote it? I forgot to write down the author. I believe so. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Again, I'm a sucker for just kind of a cheesy romance. Next, I went back to L. Kennedy and I read Good Girl Complex. I gave it a 4 out of 5, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember a lot about the book thinking about it now. I know that it's like a goody two-shoes girl, bad boy, they're living in a small town. I don't remember their names at all. Next, I went back to Carly Fortune. Delaney reading the same authors. Surprising, right? I read another Carly Fortune book. I read Meet Me at the Lake, and I gave this a 3 out of 5. This was in the height of my book slump, and it took me probably 3 months to read that book. Not because it wasn't good. It just wasn't good enough to get me out of the book slump and have me picking it up and eating up the relationship. I honestly didn't feel the connection between the characters. Next, I read The Counselors by Jessica Goodman. I really enjoyed it. It was really good. It actually kind of got me out of my book slump. I don't remember, again, can I remember the characters' names? no, but sometimes, like, I do get little flashbacks of, like, scenes that happened in the book, and it was a whole kind of, like, murder mystery, but set in a, like, summer camp situation, and it was summer at the time, and it was really good. I honestly really recommend it to people. Next, I think this next book is my top read of the year. I think it is. And I don't think anyone's going to be surprised that the author of this book is Elle Kennedy. This is her newest release. It's called The Graham Effect. And y'all already know how much I've talked about Garrett Graham in this video, okay? Y'all know how I feel about Garrett Graham. This is about Garrett Graham's daughter, okay? So at first, I was like, oh, we're going to get bits and pieces of Garrett Graham, slay. And we did. But when I tell you that I didn't even care about the bits and pieces of Garrett Graham because of Luke Ryder, he is hands down the best book boyfriend I've ever read about. I don't care what y'all say. The Graham Effect is my second Roman Empire. I have thought about this book every day since I finished it. The Graham Effect lives in my head rent-free. Luke Ryder lives in my head rent-free. If you are going to take one book from this video to read right now, pick The Graham Effect. Hands down, I would enjoy it. So I picked up The Chase, which is the first book in the Briar U series, which is kind of a, like, second branch off of the off-campus series. And it's giving you kind of more characters from the other book. Anyway, this book is about Colin and Summer. Where was I? The Chase, Elle Kennedy. I love Colin and Summer, Fitzy and Summer, whatever you want to call them. I don't care. Elle Kennedy is so good at writing fictional hockey players. Next, we went back to some fantasy. It had been a while since I read ACOTAR. Anyway, we went back into fantasy. I read Curse of the Wolf King by, I think her name is Tassanja Odette, but if I'm saying that wrong, I'm so sorry. Anyway, I read that, gave it a 3 out of 5. It was good. Again, kind of mid-tier. I do recommend it to people who are wanting a fantasy book, but I wasn't eating up the romance in any type of way. It was good. I finished it pretty quickly. Wasn't anything crazy. Then I went on to Heart of the Raven Prince, the second book in the little series by Tassanja Odette. It's called the Entangled with Fae series, if I didn't say that a few minutes ago. I gave this a 4 out of 5. I enjoyed it way more than the first one. Prince Franco definitely stole a piece of my heart. I really enjoyed it. It was super good. Next, we went on to Kiss of the Selkie, third book in the Entangled with Fae series. It was enjoyable as well. I also gave it a 4 out of 5. Didn't transcend, but I thought the romance was good. I enjoyed the plot lines and the different, whatever. The kind of, like, twist at the end definitely had me, like, biting my fingernails. I, like, clicking my Kindle so fast that I'm barely reading the words because I just had to find out what happened. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. And then the 24th book I read in 2023, is anyone surprised, was Elle Kennedy again. It is The Risk. I actually finished that, like, on December 30th. Like, I literally had one more day to finish the 24th book, and I was determined. I stayed up real late reading that book because I was not gonna end. I wasn't gonna not hit my reading goal. So yeah, it was good. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Those were my 2023 reads. I'm already so excited to get the 2024 reading year kicked off. I already have got it kicked off. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys really enjoyed. If you love reading as much as I do, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'm also going to have my Goodreads link down below, my other social medias. Feel free to follow me. I do a lot of content, a lot of reading content, a lot of hair content. As I've mentioned so many times, I'm a hairstylist. So if you guys need hair advice or hair content, go ahead and follow me as well. I just kind of post a lot of whatever I want to. So yeah, thank you guys so much, and I will see you guys on the next one.